The Arizona Wildcats pull out the victory against the UNLV Rebels. Final score: Arizona Wildcats 82 to the UNLV Rebels 70. Um, One thing that the U of A really needs to work on, and it was close. This game was close against UNLV for most of the game. Um, but then, like, the Arizona Wildcats would get hit by 10, and then they would lose that lead, and they would be back down to 3 or 4 or 2 sometimes. I don't know if it was 2, but I know it got down to 3, I think. But anyway, something that the Arizona Wildcats really need to work on is the turnovers, 18 turnovers. Um, it's pretty bad. Pretty bad. I think that Sean Miller might be accepting of maybe 12 turnovers, 14 turnovers at the most, but 18 turnovers at home is not a good thing. But I think the reason why the U of A is having so many turnovers is because they have all these new guys, good players. Trier is a good player. Tollefson is a fantastic player. Anderson is a fantastic player. Allen, Kadeem Allen is another great player. York. I can go through the whole list of the Arizona Wildcats that are all great players. They're all great players, but they all need to work together a little bit more, and they did work together this game because they had, I think there was 16 assists in this game. 5 of them were Kadeem Allen. I think Jackson-Cartwright had 3 assists. Um, Shoot, even York had 3 assists tonight. His 3-pointers, I, I don't even think he. Well, yeah, he took 1 3-pointer, had 1 3-pointer attempt. He made 1 out of 3 from 3-point land, and that was another reason that the U of A Wildcats were able to pull out this victory, is because the U of A Wildcats only had, I think, was 8 3-point attempts, and they made 3 of those 3-point attempts, and then but the UNLV Rebels had, I think, 18 3-point attempts, and they only made 4 of those 3-point attempts. So that was a killer for UNLV. They weren't getting those 3-pointers, and that was just that was a whole lot of lost points available that they screwed up on. Were not able to they were not able to capitalize on because they missed so many of those 3-pointers attempts. Another reason why the U of A Wildcats were able to pull out this victory is because the U of A Wildcats, I think, shot 39 free throws and made 29 of those free throws. So what is that? That's about 75% from 3-point land, which is pretty good because that's what I remember. That's what Lou Olson said. If you make 75% of your free throws, then he was accepting of that. So anyway, I know that Sean Miller is a fantastic 3-point or free throw shooter, so I don't. He probably would expect a little bit more percentage. But anyway, so Anderson had, I think, 9 for 11 from free throw land. He did very, very well. The good thing also about Anderson is that he's an absolute beast on the offensive rebounds. Whenever he tries to get offensive rebounds and tries to, he goes back up for those shots, and whenever he does, then he usually draws a foul on him. Because that was one of the killers. Another killer for UNLV Rebels was all those, they had a lot of fouls. There was a lot of guys that were in foul trouble. Um, Not so much. There are three big scorers. McCaw, I don't think he had a whole lot of fouls. I think he ended up with like two or three maybe. Um, Seagate, I think he had two or three. And that's Mwaku, I think was also Rebels guy, and he had three, I think, or four. I can't remember, but it was, but so the U of A, so UNLV never really got in trouble as far as those three major guys in foul trouble, but they were, that was kind of in their back of their mind because I remember seeing Parker Jackson-Cartwright. Um, I think he was running. Yeah, I think he had 2 points tonight, but that was just one of them was against Seagate, and Seagate couldn't defend against him. So because he was in foul trouble. So anyway, but the Arizona Wildcats. We had Kadeem with three. We had York with three, or Kadeem with five. York with three. Parker Jackson-Cartwright with three. I think Tucson Restic had two, which is fantastic for a post player to have at least a couple assists, which is, that was really nice. Trier, I think Trier had, how many assists did he have? He also had a couple of assists tonight. Trier was trying to defend against Waku for the running Rebels, and he was kind of having a hard time defending against Mwaku, because Mwaku was the one that Wamu was the one that I think he scored 17 points, so he was the highest scorer for the UNLV Rebels. He was their highest scorer, and I think that after that, then it was I think it was Jones Jr. with 12, and then it was Carter with 10. So those guys, I mean, was that Wamu? He scored more than his average, definitely more than his average. I think his average is like maybe 8 points or 10 points. So he did good. He scored much more than his average. And he's a guard, of course, because it seems like the U of A has a hard time against guards. But I really hope that after a while, I hope that Trier can start to pick up his defense a little bit better. But it's so difficult for Allen and Trier because to guard against those guards, to play good defense against those guards, because those guards are playing the offensive offense off the ball. Let's see, that's they're just scraping the other person off the ball. So it's really hard for a defender to play on him. Like I was noticing that Kadeem Allen did a really good job of containing McCaw. Even though McCaw had 7 assists, which is not so great, but because he normally gets 4 assists, but at least Kadeem Allen was able to somewhat contain McCaw, and because I think McCaw had, I think it was 6 points or something like that, so no, it was 8 points that he had, and so that's below his average. McCaw, I think, is like 10 points a game or something like that. McCall had actually, I think he has 15 points a game normally, so he was held much below his average by Kadeem Allen. So Kadeem Allen played a really good job on defense. I think that Tollefson, on the other hand, for the U of A Wildcats, was having a really hard time. He only had, I don't think he scored any points in this game. Um, yeah, but he did have an assist. Yeah, sorry, he had 2 points tonight. Um, so it was kind of difficult because I saw Tollefson get beat on the dribble a couple times, and so yeah, on ball screens were a killer for Kadeem Allen because he's he's a good defender. He really is. I think he's better than York as far as a defense. So I think it would be best to have um, um, Kadeem Allen on their top guard, on their best guard, because he can defend the best against their best guard because Kadeem Allen hustles so much and he did so much dribble penetration. It was great tonight. But it was those on-ball screens that he was that are really difficult for Kadeem Allen. And Trier was having a hard time with those too. You know, you're trying to be smooth and trying to follow your man as much as possible, trying to keep him on closely, but then at the same time not too closely because you don't want to foul him. So it's difficult and whenever he's trying to stay close on him, then a on-ball screen, then you get brushed off because of like for example Carter did a pretty good job as far as playing on-ball offense, on-ball screens offense, because a lot of times he would free up McCall, and McCall sometimes would beat Kadeem Allen off the dribble and just drive right to the hoop, and that was nasty. Ristic cast leave his man, and try and defend against their best guard. So it's tough. But anyway, so the Arizona Wildcats beat the UNLV Rebels. The final score: Arizona Wildcats 82 to the UNLV Rebels 70.